Welcome back to Vanquished Voices. In today's video, we'll explore three critical conflicts shaping our world, starting with the escalating situation in Nagorno-Karabakh. Nagorno-Karabakh has been a contentious territory between Armenia and Azerbaijan for decades. Recent military actions signal a dangerous uptick in hostilities. This week has seen intensified skirmishes, suggesting that both countries are far from reaching a peaceful resolution, potentially leading to a broader conflict. The conflict not only involves military maneuvers, but also has severe repercussions for civilians, with reports of displacement and humanitarian crises emerging. From a geopolitical standpoint, this conflict is a chessboard for larger powers. Turkey's support for Azerbaijan directly challenges Russian influence in the region, where Moscow has traditionally been a mediator. This dynamic could lead to a shift in regional power balances, potentially drawing in other nations with vested interests. The international community, including the UN, has called for de-escalation, but the complex web of alliances and rivalries complicates peace efforts. A prolonged conflict could disrupt energy routes, particularly pipelines that cross through the Caucasus, affecting European energy security. Moreover, it might serve as a proxy for broader tensions between NATO allies and Russia, considering Turkey's NATO membership. The situation in Nagorno-Karabakh is emblematic of how local conflicts can have far-reaching geopolitical consequences, reflecting the complex interplay of regional power dynamics. As we've seen here, the ripple effects of such disputes can extend well beyond their immediate borders. Speaking of conflicts with significant international implications, let's now turn our attention to the internal strife in Sudan, where a different but equally critical battle for control and stability is unfolding. Sudan has been grappling with internal strife, particularly since the 2023 conflict erupted between the Sudanese armed forces and the Rapid Support Forces. It's a struggle for control that's tearing the country apart. Recent weeks have seen fierce fighting, especially in Khartoum and Darfur, with both factions attempting to assert dominance. This has led to a significant humanitarian crisis, with millions displaced. The conflict has turned urban areas into battlegrounds, affecting civilians the most. Hospitals are overwhelmed, and basic services like water and electricity are disrupted, exacerbating the plight of those caught in the middle. The situation in Sudan isn't just a local issue. It's drawing international attention. Countries like Egypt, Saudi Arabia, and the UAE have their interests, with potential implications for regional stability. Foreign powers are also involved, either supporting one side or pushing for peace. The international community has attempted mediation, with the UN and regional bodies like the African Union calling for ceasefires. However, the effectiveness of these efforts remains in question as the conflict persists. The ongoing conflict in Sudan showcases the devastating effects of power struggles within a nation and how they ripple out into the international arena. Now, let's turn our attention to another region where conflict is brewing, Myanmar, where the military's actions against various groups continue to destabilize the country. Since the coup in 2021, Myanmar has been in a state of turmoil, with the military, or Tatmadaw, clashing with ethnic armed groups and pro-democracy forces. The conflict has only intensified over time. In recent months, there's been a surge in military operations, particularly in regions like Kachin, Karen, and Shan states, where rebel groups have gained ground. The military has responded with increased air and ground assaults. The civilian population bears the brunt of this conflict, facing displacement, violence, and a breakdown of infrastructure. Reports of human rights abuses, including attacks on civilian targets, have escalated international concern. Myanmar's situation is more than just an internal conflict. It's influencing regional dynamics. Neighboring countries are dealing with the spillover effects, like refugees and drug trafficking, while international powers are caught between supporting democracy and maintaining strategic interests in the region. The global response has been mixed. The UN, ASEAN, and Western countries have condemned the violence, advocating for dialogue and democracy. But Myanmar's strategic location means economic and political pressures are complex. Sanctions have been applied, but their impact on the ground is debated. The struggle in Myanmar is a stark reminder of how the quest for power can lead to widespread suffering, and how the international community struggles to navigate such crises. That wraps up our coverage of 3 key conflicts. Thanks for watching this episode of Vanquished Voices. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and check out our other videos for more on global issues.